Alright, so it's time to remove the engine. And if you've never done this, there's 4 bolts. That's going to be difficult to see, but right there is the nut. And usually you have to go underneath and hold with a different wrench. But mine are 1/2 inch. 13 millimeter would probably work too. But I'm just going to take those off of there and we'll wiggle it out. Alright, I got everything unbolted, disconnected. Should be able to just lift it off. So you have to disconnect the throttle cable, which on this one you just loosen this a little bit with a flathead, and then this, which is some standard size, but I just use pliers on it, and then that comes right off, and you can pick your engine up. Pretty dirty, needs cleaned up. They use like all thread or whatever you want to call it. I don't know if you can see that, but I don't know if that's factory. If they did that when they put these out or what. I don't really like it too much. Kind of tough to get them off on the back side, but I guess it holds the engine on there. Alright, we'll clean that up and see about getting the other engine. Okay, so this engine's almost exactly the same to remove. Crack this loose, take the outer sheave off, and then get the belt off of there. Got 4 bolts around all 4 corners. That's underneath. Loosen up the throttle cable and remove that one. This one doesn't have the kill switch connected, but if it did, you just disconnect it from here. I just reach back and switch that off if I was riding it, and then it should come off. Alright, the bolts are all off, the belt is off, throttle cable's off, so I'm going to pull it off of there, and then I'll show you the difference between the jackshaft boxes that the 2 different machines use. Pull the engine off. Here's the jackshaft box. This one uses a full metal box to bolt the bottom down to the plate, and then on this end it has a jackshaft running through it to the axle. I like this style more than the stock Dingo style, which is like a C channel. You can't really tell probably, but it just sits on top of the plate, and then they use this all thread with 3 nuts, one right under the plate, and then one on top of the engine and one under the bottom plate. I don't know, this one doesn't take up as much room, but I think the other one's a little better. But we're gonna go with this because then I don't have to modify anything, because the other jack shaft crosses across and has the sprocket on this side. But yeah, we're getting there. Alright, so I've run into 2 snags on this project. The first one was that this tank on the Predator engine is larger than the one on that Briggs, and that one is underneath in the back of the engine, whereas this one is on top in the front of the engine. So this back support for the back of the seat was slammed into the tank, and I could hardly get it to go onto the mounting bolts. But because this side is broken, I was able to just bend it forward a couple inches, maybe 1.5 inches. The second snag is that this Predator engine has a shorter shaft than the other. This has about, let's see, 2.5 inch shaft, maybe a little less, whereas the Briggs has a little bit of a lip there, but that makes it go out to 2 3/4 almost. So I guess I'm gonna make a spacer to go in behind there, in behind the inner sheave, and then also I'm gonna use an old engine and cut off the crank and make a spacer to go in to where the outer sheave slides, so this isn't just dangling off the edge as much, because it only goes on there maybe 1/2 inch, and the rest of this is empty. And then you just put this on and run a bolt down in there, and I'm gonna have to find a longer bolt, but we should be able to make it work, and it should work to where it won't break. I don't think that there should be any problem, because the belt, where the belt rides, is on the actual shaft, so it should be fine.